When the news anchors have to go off script, it becomes very apparent that they're just pretty faces some of the time. Oh, this is a personal pet peeve thing that it's on like a trust basis. I know people do dine and dash because there's a name for it. So today I thought we would check out a Reddit thread that I literally came across organically. Don't you hate that word? Organically. Organically. Also, it's really noisy outside because it is Christmas and a lot of people are visiting their relatives, so I'm going to try and cover that up with background music. But this thread is called "What is an American Thing, but Americans think everyone outside of America does it?" As always, if you enjoyed this video, let me know if you want to see the reverse of it. And if you do, I'm not sure there is a Reddit thread about that, but if there isn't, let me know below in comments something. I get my ideas from comments, so that is the place to get me to do a video. Also, I really want to thank my entire Patreon community that are ending the year with me. This year, I've only had to do 2 sponsorships to keep this channel running. These guys really have made it possible for me to do this for a living. So if for the cost of a cup of coffee you want to get extras like extra videos, participate in a hangout every single month, maybe get personal video messages, I would encourage you to sacrifice that coffee and come and join me over on Patreon or channel membership, depending on what rewards you would enjoy having. Thank you to you guys for changing my life. Of course, if you're not in a position to do that, do leave a like or a comment. It feeds the algorithm. Even if you could share my video on social media, that is another free way to help this channel grow. How can I grow if you won't let me grow? Okay, I really enjoyed these videos because they're like a conversation, so let's keep that going in the comments. Okay, the first thing, what is an American thing, but Americans think everybody outside of America does it? The first thing coming up here is a veterans discount. I think I can figure out what that is just from the title. I would imagine people who are military or army or navy veterans must have some kind of a badge or a card proving that they've done that, and then they possibly get discounts places. We have a similar thing with the police in Ireland. A Gardaí will go into most coffee shops and get like a free coffee. It's not an official thing, it's just what happens. See what people said. They said, when I worked in retail, I would occasionally have to explain that being a past or active member of the American military doesn't qualify you for a discount in Australia. Oh my gosh. It was usually family of the veteran who would be asking, sometimes demanding the price reduction. The family of the military member? That doesn't sound okay. I mean, I've never deeply thought about it before, but surely I get why the participating member of the military or whatever might be entitled to a discount, but not. I wouldn't have thought the family, but maybe you can justify it. Let me know below in comments.
Let's talk about that.
Another person said, my husband is a Ukrainian veteran, and whenever he is asked, are you military or something similar, he's always like, yeah, but not here. He gets a lot of weird looks that way, lol. I bet people don't know what to do with that. But the demanding a discount is so weird. My family member served in a different country across the world, which means you should honor it. Like, no. I mean, I do think that might be a case of just silly billies, you know what I mean? There's always silly billies, and sometimes people just don't have common sense. So yeah, you're not going to get a discount in a country that you didn't serve. However, I don't know if like Irish army people get discounts. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Interesting question if anybody knows the answer. Next up we have having the waiter take your credit card at a restaurant. Yes! Most other countries bring the machine to you so you can pay at the table and at least reduce the risk of having your credit card information stolen. How doesn't that happen more often? Is it just the whole tipping thing that like there's that trust there? I really freaking hate when they take my card away. Let's see what people said. Someone said, I'm Dutch and currently in the US. Today a waiter came up to me and said, sir, your credit card needs a PIN code. Are you comfortable giving your PIN code, or do you want to walk with me and type it in? What do you think? You think I'm going to hand you my PIN code? Yeah, don't give anybody your PIN code. As I understand it, I think the PIN code thing may have only come in recently in America, the tapping the card. I know it's been around a lot longer in Europe, again, because infrastructure is easier to roll out in smaller countries, but never, ever, 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 ever give anybody your PIN code. That is your personal private pin code. Don't give it out.
I recorded it for private use.
Next up, somebody says the gas pump only turning on after you've paid. I was in the UK and filling up at my rental, somewhat rural station and was flabbergasted that I was supposed to pay after. I asked the guy if people ever leave without paying and he just shrugged and said sometimes but not often enough that it's a problem. See, I don't drive, so I've never considered that before. I have thought before a couple of times when I've been eating in restaurants. It's interesting that it's on like a trust basis. I know people do dine and dash because there's a name for it. But again, it really doesn't happen that often. I would imagine it doesn't happen a lot at petrol stations because there's so many cameras in petrol stations. Like your car reg is going to get picked up. And I think there might be a thing in some countries that if that happens, they put out a thing on your car and then you'll be refused petrol service everywhere till you settle your bill. Somebody in the comments says, if you're sufficiently rural in the US, you might find that too, but it's essentially extinct in cities and suburbs. Interesting. Somebody else said most UK petrol stations are covered in CCTV. I said that. And there is a specific law dealing with making off with payment, commonly known as bilking. Never heard that name before, but knew it was a thing. And a marker will be placed on your car and pulled over at the next opportunity. Yes, I kind of had heard that. Yeah, it's not a thing that happens very often. African Americans is the whole title of the next one. Yes, I have had this encounter. If you've been watching some of my Irish Q&A videos, I've discussed black people in Ireland being called African Americans when somebody who is black was born in Ireland and they've neither been to Africa or America. It's that whole ethnicity, heritage versus race thing. I've even had people from Europe say to me African American about a black person and I'm like, they're not African American unless they are African American, but the people they were referring to were not, they were black. So yeah, in Europe generally we just say black or white or whatever, but if somebody is born in the country or has residency in that country, they are of that country. So you would be a Swedish black person or an Irish black person or a Polish black person. So let's see what people are saying. I remember seeing a news report in 2017 about the riots in Paris and a CNN anchor commenting all the African American people involved. You might be surprised to hear that African Americans really aren't a thing outside of America. Yeah, wow. Sometimes I watch the news and when the news anchors have to go off script, it becomes very apparent that they're just pretty faces some of the time. They're just not terribly educated outside of their script. Not all, but I have just seen some instances of that. Like, let's be real, a news anchor gets on TV because of their charisma and what they look like. I can imagine in some cases they're hired due to their knowledge, but not all. So yeah, interesting. Sunday is the first day of the week for some reason. Oh, this is a personal pet peeve. I have so many. But this one does really get my goat. It is when you get a calendar and it goes Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And it's actually becoming increasingly more difficult to get calendars that start on Monday. And I'm always like, the seventh day was Sunday. God said rest on the seventh day. That's embedded in my head. And why is it not at the end of the week? I only buy calendars with the Sunday at the end of the week because otherwise I can't figure out my week. Like I close off the week on the Sunday and then it's Monday and the week is starting. Next, somebody said the sheer amount of ad breaks. Oh my God, yeah. When you're watching a TV show in the US, there seems to be one every 10 minutes, but here in the UK, you get a break halfway through a show and then in between the shows and that's it. I've talked about this one before on this channel. You guys get an ad break, like literally you'll have a teaser, then you'll have an ad break. Then you'll have sometimes in cases in America, they'll roll like the music, the intro of the show, and then you might get another freaking ad break. It's wild. But also I don't think people have to deal with that so much now that you have like recorded television and Netflix and stuff like that. But I remember it was like a huge thing. There was literally an ad break every 2 seconds. Also, when I watch people who react to television shows, I watch this channel called Luxuria and she reacts to a lot of reality television shows that are from America that were directly recorded, and she literally points out there's like an ad break every 2.5 seconds. Yeah, it is wild to me how many ad breaks there are. Somebody else says no issue with violence shown to kids in TV and movies while simultaneously losing your shiz if someone flashes a boob at any time. Yeah, well that is a big thing, isn't it? Like nudity is not a huge deal in most parts of Europe. I found in Spain more so people are much more liberal about nudity and like showing it in front of children. Even like on the beach, people will sunbathe nude if the beach is like a little bit quiet, and it's just seen as not a big deal. Like, you're supposed to just avert your gaze. It's a busy beach, like it doesn't happen. But somebody else here says bad language in relation to that. Yes, that too is like, well, that's a watershed thing, isn't it? That exists in Europe too. Somebody says there was a TV show that had to add more blood to fill the butt crack of a corpse to pass censorship. Somebody replied it was Hannibal, and somebody else said yeah, and the bodies were flayed with their back skin arranged like wings, but no, the butt crack was the problem. That is wild. Like, literally you'll have violence on TV in America at all times of day, whereas there is a lot of censorship of the human body. That's an interesting one. I don't know what side of the debate I stand on. I guess maybe if you had kids you'd have more to say about it. So if you do, let me know below in comments what you think of all that. Do you think there needs to be more censorship or less censorship in any respect? And finally, we have naming mere suspects of crimes with their complete names and a picture in the news. Is that only in America? I'm having to think now. Maybe it is. Wow. I know sometimes we'll have a person of interest. But yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, really, we don't see the names. They'll just say a suspect has been held in custody. They won't tell you the name. And actually, that's kind of fair, isn't it? Because like a lot of times that could ruin a person's life if they're not guilty. Yeah, that's interesting. I literally never thought about that before, but it is so true. That is so freaking interesting. Let me know below in comments if you think there's anything that most American people think is normal, but it just doesn't exist outside of America. I'd really like to know. Also, if you do want to see the reverse of this list, as I mentioned earlier, let me know below in comments, and if there's anything you can think of that we think is totally regular in Europe. Because I find culture really interesting, and I find differences and similarities super intriguing, and I just love studying it. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys on the other side. Bye. Need more blusher. Sorry, blusher. Blusher is a way to make you look healthy, even when you're not. You are the palest person. Even when I'm healthy, I'm still pale. It's nothing to do with health. You're like, get a tan. I can't. I don't have that kind of melanin. Lip hair. Not my hair. There was just a hair. Just to be clear. Am I in the middle?